For the first time, the chairman of a shadowy right-wing corporate-funded think tank that churns out laws to be enacted by state legislatures is responding to reports by the media, in particular The Nation magazine, that the group is selling citizens' rights and freedoms to the highest multinational bidder. Louisiana State Representative Noble E. Ellington, chairman of the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, has defiantly proclaimed that no one is setting an agenda for his bills about voter ID and gun rights and the like. He told NPR, quote, "I like to say that we as legislators aren't taking into account the best interests of the people who elect us is absolutely false, and our concern about what takes place with them and for them is our primary concern." He added this zinger.
I don't think we've done anything that we're ashamed of.
The Koch brothers apparently aren't very ashamed of it either. Bloomberg News reports ALEC has counted on their financial support for more than 2 decades. Their deep pockets have helped to pave the way for model legislation at the federal level, where just last week the House fast-tracked a bill to strip the EPA of its power to regulate water toxins. Meanwhile, Exxon is reportedly paying $45,000 to sponsor an ALEC workshop educating state legislators interested in tapping their natural gas reserves. ALEC is not only the birthplace of much conservative state-level legislation, it also serves as a kind of farm system for ambitious conservative lawmakers interested in pushing the corporate agenda. Representatives Boehner, Cantor, Bachmann, Republican governors in Wisconsin and Ohio, are among the alumni. With me now, John Nichols, political writer for The Nation and the magazine and the website. He's covered this ALEC story extensively. Thanks for your time tonight, John.
It's great to be with you, Keith.
It's sinister, but is it illegal?
Well, it's not illegal on the face of it. What they're doing is something that they certainly don't want people to know about, but it's a basic meeting, if you will. You bring together a lot of legislators who pay a very small amount of money, $50 in dues to be members of ALEC, with a lot of corporate representatives who pay a lot of money, between $7,000 and $25,000 per rep, to sit in the same room. Now, the legislators certainly have their opinions and ideologies, but the corporate folks have an agenda. And the interesting thing about ALEC, since its founding in 1973, is that it has carried the corporate agenda, anti-regulation, anti-tax, anti-labor, anti-public education, into every state legislature in this country. And Noble Ellington, the head of ALEC, may claim that that's in the public interest. But at the very least, I think the public ought to know who Noble Ellington and other folks are meeting with before they present those bills.
And as you suggest, they work to disempower unions, to hold down voter turnout, to privatize public services, and they take money from the Koch brothers. This would seem to be a protester's dream come true, if not a nation's nightmare come true. Where's the pushback against them from the left?
Well, I think that there was a lack of understanding of just how powerful and how interwoven ALEC was in the politics of this country until we had this remarkable leak. A member of ALEC leaked over 800 model bills and resolutions. We were able to write about that, put it up on the web. Since that's happened, there's been an incredible amount of attention to ALEC, more than has ever been paid to it. And, you know, they're going to have their national conference down in New Orleans in early August, where, among other things, they'll have a seminar on the advantages of global warming. And I suspect there will be some folks who might want to really turn the heat up for ALEC.
So if they've succeeded by being secretive, why did this guy talk, the chairman, Euripides D. Beauregard Jr., or whatever his name is?
Well, Noble Ellington spoke because I think that we have done enough to get the word out about ALEC at this point that they did feel there was a need to respond. And the interesting thing is that instead of responding by saying, you know, look, we're not in the pocket of corporations, we wouldn't take their money, we wouldn't, you know, really sit down behind closed doors and do that, he basically went to the old argument, well, you know, I'm a good guy, I care about my constituents first and foremost. He never denied the fact that they're sitting there with Philip Morris and Reynolds Tobacco and Walmart and all sorts of oil and utility companies writing model legislation.
And about the political re-education camp aspect of this, the training ground, I mentioned the alumni, Boehner, Cantor, Bachmann, John Kasich is in there, Scott Walker. I mean, is this the Manchurian candidate? Is Raymond Shaw the kindest, bravest, warmest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life? What's going on?
Well, here's where the problem comes. ALEC was formed by the losers of the American political process back in the early 1970s.
You said
people
it.
who had bet on Richard Nixon. And when that started to fall apart, they decided to create an absolutist caucus. Absolute, pro-corporate, no bending, no middle ground. And that's really what ALEC has contributed to the process. Instead of the old school moderate Republicans who really would bend to reality, you've got folks who've been told again and again and again, don't compromise. And if you don't compromise, you're going to find you have a lot of friends in the corporate community.
John Nichols of The Nation, unbloodied and unbowed after his meetings with ALEC. Great, thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Keith.